Today's history is going to take us to round about the same time where we left off with Camp Collins. So I shared with you about a woman that we were going to learn about today. And I'm going to show you a few pictures of her, so let's pull those up. So I would like to introduce you to Elizabeth Auntie Stone, and I will share with you in just a moment about why we call her Auntie. So this is Elizabeth Stone. She was the first recorded female or woman white settler in this area. So Elizabeth Stone came here in about 1866. And she was involved in a lot of things happening in our little budding town at this time. So just to give you a few dates here, if you remember, original Camp Collins, 1862, flooded in 1864. Auntie Stone came here in 1866. And then the fort was actually closed in 1867. So for about a year, Auntie Stone was involved in really helping to take care of the soldiers. She was here during this time. You can see this is actually her cabin. So when I shared with you about Antoine Genie's cabin, Auntie Stone's cabin is in the same library park that you could actually go visit. Of course, we were supposed to go there, but we couldn't. And this is her actual cabin that she built when she was here in this area. So Auntie Stone is called Auntie because the soldiers started calling her that. She would cook for them. She would care for them. If they were feeling ill, she would help them to feel better. She would bring them pies. She would bring them soup. And Elizabeth just really became a caretaker of the soldiers. Well, once that fort was closed, Auntie Stone started kind of caring for the people of early Fort Collins. So at this time, we had settlers living here, people who had come over from the east and wanted to buy land in the west, and they saw this area as a good place to stay, and so they did. And so they were living here at this time, building their farms, building their homesteads, and Auntie Stone was a person who we call her the mother of Fort Collins because not only was she a caretaker of people, but she was also an entrepreneur. And that means that she started quite a few first businesses in Fort Collins. So some of the things she's responsible for is the first hotel. So she would have people come and stay with her. If they were just moving through or they needed a meal or they needed a place to stay, she would open her home as a hotel and they would stay, they would eat, and then they would move on their way, just kind of like we do in a hotel today. She also started the first school out of her house. So she and her niece were responsible for teaching the students of early Fort Collins and kind of gathering up those kids of the settlers and helping teach them kind of the ways of the world like we do now. She's also responsible for the first flour mill, flour like what you bake with, and the first brick making factory. So during this time, most of our buildings were made out of wood, which you're going to learn in our video from today is not always the best material to build from. I believe that's in today's video. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's in today's video. And we started to need a new way to build buildings. And Auntie Stone had some connections and had some money that she was able to put forward to a brick making factory. So if we think about building things with wood compared to building things with brick, of course, brick is going to stick around a little bit longer. Auntie Stone is a very, very interesting person. She was known for her parties. So Auntie Stone would have parties at her house where she would invite everyone in the community. And she's known to dance all night. So she was full of energy at 81 years old. There's a story about her that she had a party and she stayed up all night dancing and eating and enjoying the time with her friends, and that even some of the younger people couldn't keep up with her. So she had a lot of energy even in her 80s. She was actually in her 60s when she moved here. So she moved here as an older lady. My friends always think that this picture of her, that she looks really grumpy. But just to know that at the time when you had your picture taken, it was the the culture or the idea to not smile. So I believe Auntie Stone to be probably quite a caring, nice lady, even though in this picture she doesn't look real happy. There's a couple links on here that I want to show you guys that I am also going to link in the lesson for today that are kind of some extension or some more things that you can learn about Auntie Stone. So I'm going to show you those now. So the first one is this living history. So this is a video that was made by our town, Fort Collins, which are some local historians. And this is what's called a living history. So this is about a 30-minute video that if you choose to watch, you can watch about Auntie Stone. So it's specifically just about her and her very interesting life. And the friends who have made this video, of course, have a wealth of knowledge far beyond my own. And the second thing I want to show you this link is this Fort Collins then and now. So in today's video, not this video, but your other learning video you're going to watch, it's going to give you this idea of Fort Collins growing as a new town. So we now have people who are moving here. They're living here permanently. We're building buildings. We're making streets. We're making neighborhoods. We're making businesses. So Fort Collins at this time is really growing. And people are coming here and really wanting to stay here and live here. So what this website is going to give you the opportunity to do is to pick a location. Most of these, of course, are what we call Old Town or downtown Fort Collins, and then to do a little comparison of what it looked like in the past and to what it looks like today. So I'm just going to do this North College right here. In fact, I'm going to pick the Northern Hotel because this was one thing that we had on our inquiry pictures. So you can look at the Northern Hotel in 1897. So you can see a drawing here of when it was built. And then you can go back and you can look at, let's look at 1932, which would be about 90 years ago. So there it is we can see a little drugstore and a hotel. This right now, this is still a hotel, which I think is pretty cool. This is still currently a working hotel. And then this corner right here, I believe is a Starbucks now. So no Starbucks in 1832. If we go back, we can see a present day. Let's go with 2015. So you can see still a working hotel. And then this is where there's a Starbucks on the corner. So just take some time to investigate these pictures. Choose some different areas, some different blocks of Fort Collins to kind of see how has our community changed over time? How have these places where we visit every day, how have they changed and how are they different? So I want you to take a little bit of time to just investigate this. And then of course, to look at the living history video. To learn a little bit more about the mother of Fort Collins. She's a very interesting lady. I would have loved to have met Auntie Stone if I were living at this time, I would have loved to have known her as an individual and of course as a founding mother of Fort Collins. Thanks for listening today, guys.